All
There we
right,
go.
we're up and running. All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in for our discussion about free speech. Just to let you know, by the very title alone, we've already been demonetized.
That's so
That's freaking crazy.
yeah, that's fucking crazy, man. Wow.
Before I even spoke a word at all, before we went live today, this video got demonetized.
Wow.
So, note to everybody: don't use free speech in the title of your videos. You're gonna
I'm
get
gonna
demonetized.
I don't even have enough followers to be monetized anyway, so I don't need to worry for the time being. Or I mean enough subscribers.
Oh, that's true. That would also be true on my personal channel as well. But there you go. Free speech equals demonetization.
Man, there's real world
So,
evidence.
yeah, exactly. So today we're just going to talk about the concept of free speech, why it's good, um, in what cases it could be bad, which is why there's limitations on it, and who has it and who doesn't have it. Now, I know my speech is freer than yours, Andrew. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think I might have told you this before, but there's a um I think it's called the notwithstanding clause in the Canadian Constitution, that basically means that anything you say could be construed as treason. So
Wow.
we don't have well, we don't have the First Amendment like you do.
Hmm. So anything can arbitrarily be construed as treason?
Yeah, it
That
doesn't seem
seems
like
kind of crazy.
it doesn't seem like it really gets used, but it's there.
Hmm. Hopefully it never gets used. That's
Yeah,
that's the only thing I could say.
yeah, yeah.
I guess we kind of have something similar to that. It's called the Espionage Act. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but
Oh, is that what they use? They just used to as precedent to prosecute Julian Assange,
yeah. So
and it
the
hasn't been used
Espionage
since
Act.
World War One, right?
Yeah. So the Espionage Act it's about um, basically preserving state secrets. Um, in the case of Julian Assange, like in journalism itself, you typically can publish things even if they are classified. However, if the journalist in question actually participated in the illegal acquisition of that information, that can be used against them.
Right.
And
And did Julian Assange even actually do that?
from what I understand, he attempted to assist with password cracking.
Oh, okay.
I don't know like the full story about it. The only thing I know that has been reported is that Manning went to Julian for assistance in bypassing a password.
That's so stupid.
It is, but Julian is not really a journalist. He's more of an activist.
Yeah, that's the argument, right? But then a
Well,
lot of journalists are also saying that he is a journalist and that anyone can be considered a journalist.
that is true, but there's a very fine line between journalism and activism.
Yeah,
When
that's
you're an
true.
activist, you're participating in the story. Like typically, a journalist is not supposed to be part of the story,
Yeah,
um,
that's true. Yeah.
and an activist is to actively participate in the story itself. So, Julian, like some of his stuff that he did was pretty sweet and awesome, but some of the stuff seemed that had no other purpose other than to hurt a specific political candidate that he
Yeah,
didn't
that's
like.
true. I don't necessarily see that as a problem, although I
I don't
can.
see it. Yeah, I don't see it as a problem either. Only problem is when the information is acquired illegally. That could be
Yeah,
an issue.
I don't have a personal problem with that, but obviously the law does.
That and like to be honest, Julia Assange was a puppet. Like I wouldn't say a direct puppet by the Russian government, but his information came from them.
Yeah,
That's it's been pretty well established that that's who gave Julian Assange his information.
yeah.
So I don't know. It's just a
Of
huge
course,
cluster.
everything involved with Russia is nefarious because apparently
Well,
has to
it's
be.
the new battlefield.
Which isn't to say that I'm trying to dismiss that because I really don't know much about that whole aspect of the situation.
Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about the internet and how combat has evolved, or espionage has evolved to into the cyber warfare realm. And the whole Julian Assange thing and that information, it's state sponsored. It's not like some random Russian activists are are trying to do something to uncover some secrets. It's
Yeah,
typically there's a difference between those random, activists and then an actual country getting involved in it.
yeah, yeah.
When a country gets involved in it, you can hold the other government to account for it.
So is the fact that Julian Assange got that information from the Russian government another thing that's being used to justify him being prosecuted?
I don't think so. Um,
Okay.
it's it's only if he participated in the illegal acquisition of the information. That's the only thing that could get him on, if that is the case.
Okay.
If he's a stooge that is not aware that he's being manipulated, that's not illegal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Do you think he did
Um,
know?
I don't think so,
Okay.
because he continues to deny it. But
Well,
I don't think he knows.
if that's true, and I mean, actually, in my opinion, whether it's true or not, I don't think he deserves to suffer any criminal consequences for that, unless something that he something really specific that he did with a really specifically malicious intent led to someone's death or something like that. But that could be easy to construe. I just think in general, it's stupid that he's suffering any legal consequences.
Well, there was a problem though, because the first leak when he leaked some of the diplomatic cables that exposed undercover agents in a lot of countries. The
Yeah,
State Department had to scramble to make sure those people and their families were safe, and I'm not sure if they were able to get all of
yeah, that's true. That's true because
them. And
he didn't redact any of the classified documents, right? Yeah, I don't think that's good. Yeah, that's a good.
yeah, so for the newest, and that information was the actual information that was um, provided by the sex change person,
Oh,
Manning.
Kelsey
Manning,
Manning.
yes.
Yeah,
So that very information, that's the information that they had to do that. The State Department had to make sure that all of their contacts were safe and they had to pull them out because
right.
they
Yeah,
leaked that information.
they could have gotten killed for that too.
Yeah,
Maybe
and it's very different from, say, like, what's the other guy?
Edward
We had
Snowden.
Yeah, his was very different. He was exposing a program. He wasn't actually exposing the operatives behind that.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was like they're trying to, and it was exposing it to the American people
Yeah,
to show us what they were doing with our private information.
yeah, yeah.
It had nothing to do with compromising foreign agents overseas and putting their families' lives in danger. Um,
You think Assange did that like just to just to piss off and show the corruption of the American government or something like that?
well, the Assange definitely has some type of chip on his shoulder, and I never
Yeah.
found the guy extremely um, well to do. I would say he's definitely eccentric, not level headed.
Did you see
Uh,
that movie?
I
Um,
did see it. If you're
yeah,
talking about the Fifth Estate, yes, I saw that
yeah. Like
case.
it obviously those are fictionalized versions of those characters, but if there's any
Mhm.
resemblance of truth in that and in the way that Benedict Cumberbatch plays Julian Assange, it kind of makes sense in a little in at least a little bit. Like
Well,
if that's an exaggerated version of his real personality, that wouldn't surprise me.
well, it doesn't surprise me at all because the embassy kicked him out because he was an asshole, basically.
That's what they
He
said.
was, well,
It wasn't for that
he,
like sneak sex thing where he like,
no, they kicked him out because he was overstaying his welcome.
oh, okay.
Like, there were reports that he was skateboarding inside the embassy. His hygiene was horrendous. Just all this other crap that they didn't want to put up with anymore.
Okay.
It was like there was a vagabond squatting in their building.
Okay.
They overstayed his welcome, so they gave him the boot.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't
Where
know.
did they
I got go
where
ahead.
did they where did they release him to again? Like they gave him to
I was
another
in
country.
London.
It was
He was
London?
in
Yeah.
well, he was in the Ecuadorian embassy
Right.
in London, and that's where I had been staying for years.
Yeah.
Like, imagine being cooped up in a building for like 8 years of your life.
Yeah, man.
Like,
And then you
he
get
put himself in
prosecuted.
prison, basically. He put himself in a type of prison to not go to
Yeah, basically. Still sounds
prison.
better than real prison to me though.
It is, but he still went to prison eventually. Well, did he got charged, right? I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
But
And
then again,
that's
he
like,
also didn't have to deal with that um, sexual assault charge.
yeah, that's good because that could easily have been something he had to deal with. It's good. It's I don't know. I don't know what to think about that whole thing. Like the situation was that he had sex with a chick with a condom on, and then they both went to sleep, and he like he had sex with her without a condom on while she was sleeping or something like that, which is
I
like
don't know.
I
I
don't
don't even
remember
know the
whether it was
story.
like that or she woke up and he didn't use a condom or like either way, maybe it's a little creepy. I don't know whether that's construed as like sexual assault or rape or something like that. I really don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the actual story for that, so
Yeah.
I don't want to speculate too much.
Yeah.
But Assange, did he rightfully go to prison? I don't know. Like,
I don't think so in my that's my opinion anyway. Obviously it's a very polarizing issue.
it is, but you also shouldn't try to hack into a government's
That's true.
database. Like,
I wouldn't
if
do
it
that.
is absolutely true that he assisted in password cracking, then it is what it is. Like, if he was just awaiting for the information from Manning, and there was no assistance given in the activity, then fine. But he should have quarantined himself away from the actual activity of breaking into those files.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't personally say that attached to my opinion is the opinion that he bears no personal responsibility, because he does bear personal responsibility. Do you think that do you think that he maybe deserves some consequences, but not as harsh as the ones he has received?
I don't know. Well, what is his sentence? How long is he going to be in prison for?
I don't actually know. Do you?
No, I've not looked that up.
I'm gonna look that up right now.
And it's probably going to a cushy federal prison.
That would be
You
nice.
know, it's not going to be. It's not like he's going to a maximum security prison.
Yeah. Sentenced to sentenced to 50 weeks in prison, still faces US
A
charges.
year. That's it.
Yeah. But
That's not. That's nothing.
it sounds like that's without his US charges, because it says he still faces US charges.
Oh, why is he going to prison in London or
It looks
something?
like, oh yeah, Julian Assange sentenced to 50 weeks in British jail for skipping bail.
Oh,
And he still faces US charges after that.
oh
Or he
wow.
could still face, I guess. It says he still faces.
Well, he hasn't been put through court yet. Then, if that's the case,
Yeah. Yeah, so
well,
he
that's
hasn't been
pending.
prosecuted for any American crimes. That's or crimes in America, or however that works.
Well, that's still pending then. So
Yeah.
he hasn't gone to trial. He hasn't gone to trial.
Yep.
Not much we can do to comment on it and to see what happens.
Yep.
I don't know. Assange is kind of crazy. Like, yeah, he got some good stuff. Like, I think the best thing that he's ever gotten was that helicopter um, footage. Did you ever see
Oh,
that?
the double tap thing?
Yeah, where they had a combat helicopter and then they killed some journalists.
Yeah. And then they
And
killed the
then
first responders.
they weren't even then they weren't even real. They were like just bystanders trying to help them.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't even. It wasn't even an ambulance. It was just like a good Samaritan on the street, seeing a guy that's like bleeding out and like crawling, and they shoot the vehicle up, and I think there were kids in there.
Yeah, I think so.
And then later on, there's a video of like a squad of Marines or something showing up on scene, and one of the Marines is like really pissed off about what happened. I think there's actually a video where they interview the guy that actually pulled the children out of that vehicle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can find that online. I remember listening to that, and that guy was just beyond. He was like super mad about how that situation unfolded.
Yeah, I bet.
So yeah, that was probably like the best piece of information. Like I read some of the diplomatic cables. Um, Also, another good thing he did was the DNC emails. Like, kind of enlightened me a bit on how corrupt the DNC was when they handled the Bernie Sanders situation.
Oh, yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's those cables where he exposed a bunch of foreign agents overseas. That wasn't a good thing. Put
Yeah.
lives in danger there, and I think that was just his hubris.
Yeah.
Of,
He does seem to like regardless of how high of an opinion you might have of what Julian Assange did, he does at least seem to have like I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist or anything, but he seems to have some sort of ego complex.
I agree. It seems like he doesn't really care about the consequences of the information he releases.
Yeah.
Um, and most journalists do think about those things. They don't want to put innocent people at risk,
Yeah.
innocent lives at risk. So they do. A proper journalist will assess that, and they'll take a look at their information and kind of think about what will this information do? Is this harmful? Is it going to harm?
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions that they have to ask themselves before they potentially publish something that can be extremely harmful to private individuals.
Yeah. For sure.
That's how Gawker fell.
Yep.
Gawker's no more because they published something that was harmful to an individual and private, and I forgot like the circumstances, but I know they published this video that Hogan claimed to be, I guess, the copyright or owner of that, or I don't know how it works, but the problem is he asked them to take it down, and they refused to do so.
It was like a sex tape with him and his wife, or him and some other woman, or something like that.
It was him and Bubba the Love Sponge's wife,
Who the hell is Bubba the Love Sponge?
a radio DJ.
That's
I don't know his real name. That's what he's called, Bubba the Love Sponge.
such an awesome name.
So it was Hulk Hogan and Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, and they left that on there for a long time. I
Yeah.
remember that. And now Gawker is no more.
Yeah.
But
They
freedom
sued the shit out of them.
speech. I have a question. Did they ever burn the Canadian flag?
I've never actually heard of an instance of that, but it could happen.
So
People-
there aren't
people in-
protesters that burn the Canadian flag?
Not that I know of, but there could be. I mean, I wonder if some of that is that Canadians are not as patriotic as Americans, generally speaking. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Like I said, it doesn't seem to be really a thing that happens that I know of, but it could happen.
Canadian flag burning.
Yeah.
What about just like bashing people in the head with syrup bottles?
I'm not sure. That definitely has happened here, but
people attacking people with syrup bottles?
I don't know if it. I don't know if specifically with this syrup bottle has happened, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I don't really hear about that much political violence or that much here in Canada.
Well, the only thing I know about free speech in Canada is Jordan Peterson. He's the only one that seems to talk about it much.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's partially right about that for sure, I think. Like, he was right about how Canada was instituting these laws that basically meant that you are legally compelled to call someone to refer to someone by their preferred gender pronoun, and if you don't, it's considered a crime. And I personally agree with that it should not be considered a crime to quote unquote misgender someone, even though I personally, seemingly unlike Jordan Peterson, would still call someone whatever the fuck they want me to call them. So it wouldn't be an issue.
It's really weird though.
Yeah.
One of the weird problems with that bill or whatever is that it only applies to people who actually work for the government or receive public funding.
Oh, I didn't even actually know that. That's interesting.
There you go. There's a bit negative information there. So it doesn't apply to everybody. It only applies to public workers.
Are university professors considered that?
If it's a publicly funded university, it may be.
I bet the University of Toronto is at least partially publicly funded because it's one of the major universities in Canada, but I don't know. I'm gonna look
Yeah,
that
the
up.
only thing I know is that law doesn't apply to everybody in Canada. It only applies to um, government employees or publicly funded institutions.
Okay.
That's that's from what I've read. So it's a weird, tricky bit of it's a weird, tricky thing because you have like I would understand if this was a private policy because if a private company wanted to do that in the United States, I think they would be allowed to.
Yeah.
But at government, the public wouldn't, the company wouldn't be able to do something like
Okay.
that. The weird thing is that it's flipped. Like in Canada, you don't have to if you're a private entity, but it seems that you do if you're public. So it's a bit of a weird conundrum there.
No wonder Justin Trudeau is so careful.
What do you mean?
He's always really careful when he talks to avoid pissing off anyone at all.
Oh, so like the exact opposite of Trump.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's always talking about, no, these concerns are important. These people are important. Everyone all deserves justice and all this kind of stuff. And which I'm not necessarily criticizing, but oh, I just looked it up by the way, and it says University of Toronto is publicly funded.
So there
So,
you go.
so yeah, he doesn't want to be. I think Jordan Peterson primarily objects to that because he thinks it's morally wrong for there to be a law that says that you have committed a crime if you misgender someone. Which, and like I said, that's the part of his criticism that I agree with, especially since we just confirmed that he is considered a government employee because the university is publicly funded. That could happen to him.
Yeah, there's so many. It's because it's such a weird and multifaceted issue. Yeah, it's like what was the claims that people were making that they were going to force him to use like those weird magical pronouns?
Oh yeah,
Um,
the 72 different gender pronouns, I think it was. Yeah.
yeah, because I believe like Peterson said he would respect um, the pronoun. I don't believe he would respect one of those weird magical ones, but I can imagine he would use he, she, or they.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
so. I think he might have said something about that actually. I don't remember for sure.
yeah, or if he doesn't want to use a magical pronoun, he would just refer to the person by name, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think you might be right about that. Yeah.
Like he
I
doesn't
think he's not
object.
yeah, he's not like
He
Ben Shapiro who will like go to if someone is transgender, if
to
someone is
call
like
him
a
a he.
transgender woman, yeah, refer to him as a he repeatedly or something, or like Candace Owens does that too.
Yeah, I know she did that to what's her name,
Blair
Blair.
Blair White.
Yeah, during the disastrous Dave Rubin episode
That
there.
was
Remember that?
so simultaneously excruciating and hilarious.
Guys.
Yeah,
Guys. Yeah, that was horrible. But anyway, Peterson is not opposed to using a preferred pronoun, and if not, use the person's name. He just doesn't want to be forced to do it.
yeah. Like I said, that's his main objection, which
Yeah.
I I have trouble understanding why people have a problem with at least that aspect of his problem with it.
Yeah. So
Even though,
and it
thanks to primarily a lot of people who have a lot of criticisms of Jordan Peterson, I'm not as much of a fan of, I'm much less of a fan of him as I used to be. I still think he makes some valid points about some issues, like at least that particular criticism.
well, I like him as long as he's being nuanced. I don't like it when he starts getting preachy.
Yeah, I don't either.
And usually, like,
You
his
gotta practice
preachiness,
that Judeo-Christian ethic, man. You
yeah,
gotta, or those bloody social justice warriors will take us all down, man.
this postmodern
Those
neo-Marxism.
postmodern neo-Marxists, man, those totally exist.
But yeah, when he's being really nuanced about a subject, like, I appreciate it. But once he gets down into his slippery slope argumentation about things, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
like he's like, we're one step closer to a gulag. I was like, sure, like I
Like
understand
how he
your
called
free speech.
he called one of his podcasts or live streams something like around when the James Damore thing happened. He called
Mhm.
it he made the image for the video was the Google logo, except it said
Mhm.
Gulag instead.
Yeah, he loves
So funny.
gulag.
And like I said, I don't like to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak, with people, but
Hmm.
that but also like and I think like these accusations of him being alt right or some shit like that are fucking ridiculous. But like in a way he like he should be more like more cognizant of the way his video titles might seem to some people sometimes. Some of his video titles, like he makes video titles about like the oppression of young men, and there was even one called the Jewish question and stuff like that. Like they usually don't get titles like that, but every once in a while they do. And then you wonder, and then I'm thinking like, dude, don't you know that a lot of people will just look at the title of your video and then form their whole criticism of you based on that?
Yeah, that's the headline reader. Like
Yeah.
sometimes someone sends me a headline without reading the article. It's like, did you actually read the article? It's not as bad as you think.
Yeah.
But that just tends to happen, you know. That's basically how people get outraged on Facebook, is they read outrageous headlines and they just go with that. You know, they're informed by an outrageous headline above
Hmm.
all things else. But yeah, Peterson's been, I don't know, they've dragged him through the ringer. Uh, I think he's kind of waning at the moment. But
I don't know, man.
yeah,
He seems really popular still to me.
well, I don't think he's as popular as he used to be because the media isn't attacking him as much. I
Yeah, that's
think the
probably.
more popular he is, the more he gets attacked by the media. He hasn't really
Well,
been getting attacked by the.
how long ago was that whole Patreon thing where him and Ruben and a few others
That
are
was at the
starting their own
beginning of the
thing?
year. Yeah, it was at the beginning of the year.
They could make a lot of money and remain prominent by doing that if their alternative to Patreon is actually successful, which it could be.
Yeah, well, they'll have to see. Like, we know that Peterson is somewhat of a shrewd businessman. Like, he seems to have been greatly monetizing his presence,
Yeah,
and
he's rich as fuck.
yeah, he's been making a lot of money these past couple of years, and he's definitely been capitalizing on that. And there's
Hmm.
nothing wrong with it.
No,
Um,
no, no, of course not. Yeah.
and it's not like he doesn't employ people. Like when people see these Patreon amounts, they don't realize that these Patreon monthly, like really high monthly payments you see, this isn't just going to that one person.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
definitely a team around these people. Like Dave Rubin has a team that he has to pay. I'm pretty sure that Peterson has to pay a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Like it's not like they're just all this money is just going to the one person. This money is actually being doled out to people who work for these people.
And like we were just saying, he's investing in all of these different projects too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, back on the So I would say is Peterson like the free speech champion of Canada?
Uh, I guess as much as you can say that there is one.
Well, I guess it kind of there's God Sod too, kind of, right?
Sorry?
God Sod,
Oh,
Gad
yeah,
Sad,
that's for sure too. Yeah.
'cause I believe he's also Canadian.
Yeah, he is. He lives in Montreal. The Gadfather, as they call him. Yeah, I would say probably Jordan Peterson is much more popular in general than Gad Sad.
Yeah, that's for sure. Gad Sad still works at a university.
Yeah. I think I don't remember what university he works at, but yeah. Jordan Peterson
I
is
think
just I don't know what you would call him, like a freelance intellectual or some shit like that.
I
'Cause he
guess
I don't
his
know if he's
position.
I don't know if he's gonna go back to being an actual university professor. I mean, look
I
how
doubt
much
it.
fucking
Like how
success he's having. It's like
he has no
Sam
reason
Harris,
to.
who never had a position like that. He has no reason to actually be a professional philosopher in neuroscience because then he would lose all this money he's getting from all the podcasts he's doing and stuff.
Well, yeah, he has no reason because if you think about what a professor does, is they teach a limited amount of people at their institution, and then Peterson has kind of broken out of that and is
Mhm.
teaching many more so now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like if you're gonna make a if you're gonna release a video of you doing a lecture somewhere and it gets like 500,000 views or some shit like that, that's way more than the I don't know, like 30 to depending on the university, like maybe 100 people in your class or something like that.
Well, yeah, and you're gonna have multiple classes, so we'll say at most like 5 students or something,
Yeah.
depending
Yeah.
on how big the class is.
If we give a really liberal estimate and say he educates thousands of people a year at a university, that's way less than he would get in one video.
Hmm. Yeah, one video, and then the book had a lot of reach.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know if the book has much to do with what he actually teaches at what he like. I don't know if it has much to do with his lectures because I
University.
can't see how the book is a self-help book, and I don't think they teach self-help in that way in a college setting.
No.
So it's
It,
definitely
yeah.
not what you would get because it's like who would hire Tony Robbins and what kind of classes would he
Yeah.
teach?
Yeah,
That's what I
but
kind of think of the 12 Rules for Life. It's just like a conservative version of a more conservative version of like a Tony Robbins deal.
yeah,
It's
but pretty
it's
much
kind of
is.
the same vein.
Yeah, I mean his first book, um oh shit, I'm just forgetting the name. Oh, Maps of Meaning. That book is way more of an intellectual book and way more based on his actual lectures in university and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it wasn't popular. It probably got a big boost after, him coming to prominence.
Yeah,
But from what I understand, it's like nobody read that book.
I did.
Oh, did you read
I
it?
like
Did you read it
yeah, I
before it
liked
became
it.
popular?
I liked it. No, I read it pretty recently, like last year or
Okay.
something like that. I actually like that book a lot more than 12 Rules for Life because that's what I like the most about Jordan Peterson when he does like comparative mythology, which is basically what that book is about. And I found that really interesting because he examined a lot of different mythologies, and that's all he was doing. He wasn't like simplifying it to sell self-help lessons or anything like that. So I just
Yeah,
found
because
that
I
one to be
found I
interesting.
found 12 rules like very rambly.
Yeah, I mean, well, we talked about it before, I think, and I thought some of the rules made sense and some of them were dumb. Like one of them was some of the good ones are fairly obvious, like stand up straight with your shoulders back. Thanks, bro. I didn't know that already, but it is good advice.
Well, some
Um,
people don't, like, to be
yeah,
honest. You'll
That's
see
true.
some people
A lot of
like
people do
walking down the
slouch.
street
Yeah, and
looking like that
I think
with their
the
hunched over.
I think the rules in that book that I disagreed with were yeah, don't bother children while they're skateboarding, and don't let your children do anything that makes you not like them, which is fucking stupid. But
Authoritarian.
yeah, some of the other rules are good, but that last one, it's like that means if you're homophobic and you don't and your son turns out to be gay, then what are you gonna do in that situation? I think that you brought that up when we were talking about this before,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like,
And
damn, that's messed up.
I also don't like the part in that book where that he's talked about in some of his talks sometimes where he says, there are no atheists because everyone has a highest moral value, therefore everyone believes in God. No, that's stupid. You're just using this as a language game. You can call
Yeah.
anything God if you want to call it God. That doesn't mean that everyone's highest moral good is God. That's
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, people worship money, so they have a god too.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, you're a warrior. I don't even know if we have a free speech warrior in the United States. We don't really need it because we don't really
You
have
don't
those
think there are
problems.
like American free speech warriors? Like, what
I
about like
guess, but it's like,
what about like all the other IDW people?
well, they're about, what are they about? Are
That's
you
one of their
talking
main
about
that's one of their
like,
main things, isn't it?
mm, I don't know. I think they just don't like SJWs.
That's those are like their two core doctrines, I would say.
What, free speech? Well, they talk about difficult things, but
Oh yeah, no,
um,
no. Like we've talked about this before. I think I like in particular I like the Weinstein brothers, especially Eric Weinstein. I think that you said that too.
yeah, so I don't think it's more about free speech when it comes to IDW. It's more about platforming, which is kind of its own separate issue.
Yeah, that's
Um,
for sure. I don't agree. I disagree with that whole argument against so-called platforming. Like if you have this right-wing person on, that means that you approve of their ideas. In the extreme case, regardless of how you deal
mhm.
with them, and in the less extreme case, if you don't challenge um, if you don't challenge them enough, that means that you are like you were in some way supporting what they said. Like if the like Joe Rogan gets accused of that, like he has right-wing people on and he doesn't challenge enough, therefore I'm done watching Joe Rogan, he's just a alt-right guy.
And I don't even think that's the case. I think most of the people he has are mostly lefty.
I
It's
agree.
like he has the occasional odd, like conservative, but those are like, okay, if you think of all the people he has on, the people that are conservative are not very many. It's like you got Crowder, I guess Peterson's kind of quasi conservative. He's just kind of right there on the edge.
Yeah.
Um, you got Crowder. Maybe Nick DiPaolo is one of the only conservative comedians that he invites on the show.
And
It's
then there's
it's by a landslide that most of the people that he has on, and he has 100 people, like the people he hunts with, like Steve Ranella
yeah.
and
Are those really conservatives? They don't really talk about politics that much.
well, they talk about issues. Like Steve Ranella is all about um, preserving wildlife,
Yeah.
um, and the funny thing is that technically it is conservative to want to preserve like wildlife because you are trying to
Yeah.
conserve, you're getting involved
Conserve.
in conservation.
Yeah.
But that is not the case in the United States. In the United States, conservatives typically want privatization of land, not public lands.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of a weird position.
Yeah, I mean, public lands is kind of a more it's kind of a more progressive position. Like it was Teddy Roosevelt who declared all these huge regions of land public land, right? I think it was.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It was definitely Teddy.
Yeah.
But they don't really get into Trump or anything. I know who does is who's the marathon runner that comes on and
The marathon the marathon runner?
ultra marathon guy
Oh,
that comes on all the time.
oh shit, I forget his fucking name. Cameron Haynes?
There you go. He's
Yeah.
definitely he talks about conservative stuff.
I don't
Um,
I don't even
but
remember. I guess I probably have seen him talk about that stuff. I don't
yeah,
really
it's like
notice it.
most of the people he has on are liberals. Like
Yeah.
not
Like
even, and he tries to
like
balance it out. Like he had David Pakman on. He's had Kyle
yeah,
Kalinske on.
yeah.
He's
Jimmy Dore,
had
Abby
Jimmy Dore
Martin.
on.
He's
Like he
had all of those.
doesn't doesn't
He's
doesn't
had
seem to
all of those.
discriminate much. Like
Yeah.
whoever he finds interesting, he has them on. It's not, and
Let's
he certainly does go after people too. Because I remember he went after Crowder before.
yeah.
He certainly has debated Shapiro about a couple things he didn't agree with.
And Owen Benjamin
Owen
too.
Benjamin, he disagreed with Dave Rubin,
Yeah,
but he's also
he was basically breaking down Dave Rubin's libertarian arguments about regulation, I think it was.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he does the same to the liberals. Like I remember he's having a member when he talked to well, I don't know really how to classify Thaddeus, but they definitely got into the shit on a couple things, and then
Oh yeah, about gender, I think, right?
yeah, and then there's the Adam Hanover one. Did you listen to that one?
Yeah, that was good. Adam Hanover was for allowing children to get gender reassignment surgery. And he was arguing with him about that because I agree that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. So if I don't think he just solely chooses a side. He's kind of in the center, and he's
He goes based
looking.
on the issue, basically.
Yeah, if something seems not reasonable on whatever side of the political line it is, he'll question it and push on it.
Yeah. And he's had two Democratic candidates on his show too, Tulsi Gabbard and Andrew Yang.
And then he had one libertarian candidate.
Yeah, Gary Johnson.
Yeah, and he's had Tulsi on twice.
Yeah.
So I don't know how so. Calling Rogan right wing. Like, what is he right wing on? Guns?
That's it. He's
Guns and hunting?
he's pro gay marriage. He's pro universal health care. He's or like every other conceivable issue. Like he other than like freedom of speech, because a lot of people see it as a right wing thing to
I think
support
that's
freedom of speech.
stupid.
Yeah, because
That seems
especially
insane to me. Because
historically speaking, yeah,
flag burning is also freedom of speech.
yeah,
The
like
right for people to kneel at a football game, that's freedom of speech.
yeah, yeah. And like
Well,
historically speaking, progressives were the ones who were most for freedom of speech.
no, here's my thing. Whoever's in power or whoever's like out of power typically are the ones who push freedom of speech. And this is why it's so weird today
Yeah,
in America, because right now we got majority Republican Senate and president, and we got liberals or at least hyper progressives pushing for speech restrictions, some maybe hate speech or
yeah.
some other things, but
Which
it's
Trump's
typical.
government would be implementing right now.
Yeah. So that's the crazy thing too. Like the flag burn, like banning flag burnings, that's nuts.
Yeah, that's a stupid thing that Trump did, in my opinion.
It's not going to go through. It's basically a symbolic gesture, but people, there are freedom of speech issues on both sides of the coin. It's just that they want to block things that they don't like.
Yeah, it's like how Ben Shapiro advocates for restricting people's freedom of speech sometimes.
Yeah, so that just means that they tend to be more authoritarian and
Yeah.
want to control things in an authoritarian manner. I
Hmm.
typically oppose that aspect. When it comes to speech, I oppose that. I do not like authoritarian control of speech on either side of the political coin.
Me neither.
Whether it's someone who wants to suppress flag burning or somebody that wants to like suppress the voices of crazy like right wingers.
Yeah.
It's always felt like you can use rational arguments against crazy right wingers.
Yeah, you don't
Don't
have
be
to.
lazy.
You're not going to be traumatized by hearing conservative opinions. And if you
Yeah,
are, you need some psychological help.
yeah. So it's I don't know. It's I think once you lose that aspect, like the entire First Amendment is the cornerstone and foundation of the Bill of Rights. Like once you throw that out the window, like everything else falls.
Yep.
And I understand why Peterson would be so adamant in Canada about that. That does seem like it is a weakening of your speech rights in Canada.
Yep.
But then again, your speech rights in Canada kind of don't have as strong as foundation as in the
Nope.
United States.
Yeah, like I said, we don't have the
And not
First
many
Amendment.
countries do
Yeah.
have that strength of the freedom of speech.
And the funny thing about the freedom of speech thing is due to the social backlash of a lot of progressives, the social media companies are just banning like blanket banning or demonetizing sorts of specific like keywords and stuff like that. Like you were saying with this one, freedom of speech just got you demonetized for just having that title. And then
Yeah,
it's backfiring on progressives sometimes. Like if they make videos like criticizing some Nazi or something like that, then they might get banned or demonetized because the algorithm that they use doesn't care about the context in which you're like quoting a Nazi or something in order to debunk them or something like that.
yeah. So just like the Crowder, do you know about the Crowder and Vox incident?
Yeah, yeah, we could talk about that. That's
That's a
that's
cluster.
that's good. That backfired on YouTube too because now Crowder is way more popular than he was before because he got so much media attention for getting demonetized.
Yeah, it completely backfired. At all. Not only did it backfire, this also hurts um, starting like new creators who are just trying to get a foothold.
Yeah, like me.
Because every time they do these stupid um, finger pointing actions, the advertisers get upset and they become apprehensive about putting ads on videos, which hurts everybody.
Did you notice that when you go to the comments on any YouTube video now, it says please be respectful to other people and follow the community guidelines?
No, I've never seen that.
Yeah, that just started recently. It says that
Oh, wow.
before the comments on every video.
I have no idea. I have not seen that before.
Yeah, that
Maybe
just
it's just
started like
saying,
this week, I think.
like that's gonna stop people from being assholes. Like
Exactly.
really, yeah, nothing. That's not gonna stop anybody from being an asshole. It's just, I think the
Yeah.
main thing that I know it sounds weird, but I think we need more non-anonymous places online.
That's probably a good idea.
I'm not saying we need everything to not be anonymous. Like, I think that's one of the like, I know everyone hates on Facebook, but I think the rhetoric on Facebook is not as bad as rhetoric you hear where somebody can be anonymous.
Like Twitter.
Twitter, yeah.
Yeah. We didn't go
Because
into we. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was just thinking we didn't go into what exactly happened with the whole Crowder thing for. Well, I guess most people watching this probably know what happened, but we didn't.
Well, yeah, we can get into that. So Carlos Maza, I think that's his name.
Yeah, I think that's his name.
He's a Vox reporter.
Yeah.
He's gay. He's Hispanic, and this Crowder and him have been bumping heads for a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but they have been. I don't know the
Oh,
backstory to that.
because Crowder makes fun of him and makes it, Crowder has been making fun of him and making gay jokes about him for a long time, and he would usually just like either ignore it or like joke back at him or something like that, and that's how it's apparently worked for a long time
Okay.
until recently.
Until recently, so he must
Yeah.
have touched a nerve somewhere.
Yeah, I guess so.
So anyway, I guess Crowder made these t-shirts that says "Socialism is for figs."
Yeah, that shirt actually, when he first made it, I remember seeing that shirt when he first made it. It literally said "Socialism is for fags" on it.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah, he must have changed it at some point. I don't know when.
Mm. I think that's a bad move on Crowder's part, to be honest.
Yeah,
To even a veiled joke is not good. Like, imagine just trying to make a joke about any other ethnic group and
yeah.
just throw it in there, or like say socialism is for blacks, or
Or
Nazism is for Mexicans, or
or
anything like
or
that.
something similar would be like socialism is for Naggers or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, naggers.
Yeah.
So it was kind of true. So, like people who nag a lot tend to be socialists. But anyway, but yeah, I know it's a veiled, it's a joke, but it's also veiled insult at a community.
It's veiled homophobia.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So I do think it's still in the wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's not. You got to be careful about jokes. I think one of the interesting things about just looking at, um, for instance, looking at Joe Rogan's stand up and how he handled, you know, the trans person formerly known as, I don't know, what's the Kardashian? What's the
Oh,
male?
Bruce Jenner?
Bruce Jenner, yeah. So
Yeah.
he didn't attack. He did a very good job at handling that subject because it's a touchy subject.
Yeah.
Crowder does not. Like that's what a school. That's not a joke. Like
Yeah.
here,
Well,
it's
wait.
like poorly. Well, it could be. It's poorly constructed, and it's probably something a high school bully would say.
And specifically Carlos Maza complained about was that Crowder called him a lispy queer, right?
I believe so, but I also believe that he self-identifies as a queer.
Yeah, that too. Like his name on Twitter is What is it again? Do you remember?
I
It's
know it has queer in it or something
yeah, it
like
has
that.
queer in the title, right? Queer in
Queer
his
Mexican or something like that.
yeah,
I can't quite remember.
yeah.
But yeah, it's I get it, but to be honest, like if a black person uses self-deprecating humor about themselves, you cannot use that humor against them.
Like a good example is the N word. Black people,
Yeah,
black people say the N word in rap songs all the time, and sometimes if no one's around, I might sing along to it because no one's around. But
yeah. And the thing is the word fag is basically the N word of the gay community.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like you
That's
can't,
why
if you're not a gay person, you cannot use that word.
yeah, that's why with the N word, black people can use it in rap songs, and I can't just go around using it in everyday life.
No, there's weird. Yeah, there's these weird magical words that have power. Unfortunately, yes, there are.
Sometimes I wish I could use the N word the same way that like rappers do in rap songs or something like that.
Well, you can. You can just can't do it like publicly.
Yeah,
Do it in the privacy of your own home or of people you trust. But yeah,
yeah,
broadcasting that into the world is probably not a good idea.
yeah. I definitely
Um,
would not do that ever.
I understand Carlos Mazza's argument. However, YouTube's guidelines do not. He wasn't denigrating. Well, unless you talk about the socialism is for figs, the veiled homophobia there. Outside of that, he wasn't targeting um, like the group. He was targeting the individual.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. And was it?
And people talk shit about individuals all the time, so
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
shouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, like I'm pretty fucking sure Steven Crowder himself is not actually homophobic and does not have a problem with gay people.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm guessing he doesn't. Like I don't know. He's talked to Milo, so
He's talked to Dave Rubin too.
oh yeah, and Dave Rubin, so he probably doesn't have a problem with them. But
Yeah.
I think he does have a problem with maybe super effeminate ones.
Yeah. Seems that way.
Well, you know what? No, that's not true because
Or the
Milo is pretty effeminate.
ones like that who insult him or just annoy him and based on some issue that he cares a lot about.
Or who are at political odds.
Yeah.
Um, 'cause- yeah. But anyway, yeah, that whole Carlos Maza complained in the video, and they demonetized Crowder's entire channel.
With the
Uh,
shirt thing, was it a thing that if I remember correctly that his it was specifically the shirts they wanted him to stop selling those shirts, the socialism is for figs shirts?
yeah, they wanted him to remove that shirt in order for him to get his monetization back.
That's the second question I was just gonna ask, or that's the question I was just gonna ask you, whether they said they would remonetize him if he got rid of those shirts. Right.
Yeah, that's what they would do if he got rid of the shirts.
Well, has he gotten rid of the shirts?
I don't know, but I also don't think he needs to because I think a lot of his monetization took place through subscriptions and things like that.
Yeah, and he has like his mug club and he sells all this other merchandise.
So I don't know. I don't know if he's taking it off or not. I couldn't tell you. I do know I would never wear that shirt.
I wouldn't either.
Like, all right, if you live in any place up the big city and you wore that, you'd probably get punched in the face by some hulking gay dude who goes to the gym every day.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't touch that shirt with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, me neither. And well, not only that, but I don't have that much of an extremely anti opinion against socialism.
Well, me neither. Socialism is such a broad concept that it's like it's like any of those stupid things, like people hating on capitalism.
Hmm.
Well, fucking Norway is capitalist, and so is
Yeah,
Sweden.
they're
It's like, are you hating on them?
as as I was watching David Packman point out the other day, those countries are social democracies, as that's what he says anyway.
Yeah, they're capitalist nations. The the what do you call it? The means of production is still private, just that they have a lot of social benefits that are funded through taxation.
Okay.
Um, anyway, it's socialism. Everyone thinks of Venezuela and North Korea and shit like that when they think of socialism.
Yeah.
And I guess like the worst of capitalism is basically, I think I can think of, what's the most capitalistic country? The
America.
United States, and
Yeah.
we've got a shitload of problems here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I personally think that so-
Healthcare, well, that's for one.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I think that socialism makes sense for some things, but maybe not everything, which is basically what I think about every sort of political thing or political worldview. Like, I think socialized medicine, as we were talking about in the last chat, works really fucking well here. And I also, another socialist policy that I kind of approve of is when we were talking about the new Jim Crow, especially since I found out from some people on Mixed Mental Arts that this economic studies have already been done on this, that finds that it's cheaper to, instead of arresting nonviolent drug offenders and putting them in prison, giving them criminal records, and making it hard for them to find a place to live and to find a job and stuff like that, it's apparently actually cheaper to um, give them psychological counseling if they have addiction problems, job training, and jobs. So, and also it's kind of a, well, I don't, maybe it's not a socialist, more of a progressive opinion that I think all drugs and prostitution should be legalized, taxed, and regulated.
And they could also be a capitalist position. Like, I think
Yeah,
it's not really a capitalism socialism. It's a liberal conservative issue
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
because conservatives don't like debauchery.
Conservatives are all pro-capitalism and anti-socialism. Well,
Well,
not
they're
not
pro
all of them.
capitalism to the extent because they're not capitalizing on prostitution and drugs.
That's true. That's true.
So there's an extent there. But I think that's more of a liberal conservative thing. Not really conservative social. I think of socialized prostitution, like everybody has a right to a prostitute, versus capitalist prostitutes, like you pay very based on the quality of prostitution.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's
Yeah, that's
there's
true. I'm not
different.
I'm not for socialized drugs and prostitution.
You don't think everyone should be able to get a right to a prostitute, government funded
No,
prostitute?
I don't think that needs
Well,
to
what
be.
about what about incel that just doesn't have money? Um, you don't think an incel that's poor shouldn't have an opportunity to convene with one
Mm, yeah,
that's
but
government funded?
I don't know if it should be government funded. Like, there's also this thing called porn. It's pretty great too. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not
but it's
the
not
same as
the
getting
same.
laid, though, obviously.
Well, incels already have porn, and it's not solving the incel problem.
True. Maybe if you gave incels prostitutes, it would solve that problem. I have
Gotta go find it.
I have said that before, actually. I think I said that on Mixed Mental Arts. I didn't say
So
that I would
yeah, but you
advocate.
don't think you'd have a socialist system where they could get one
Yeah,
without.
that's the part that I'm not sure of. I'm not sure if the government should provide that. Like you would have to see, you would have to consider how much of a problem it is that, like, how much of a problem incels are. Like, I think I heard of at least one of them being connected to one of the shootings or something like that. I'm not sure if I remember that correctly though, but I'm not, like I said.
Well, there's Elliot Rodger. He was an incel,
Right, right.
but he was like a high profile incel because he had money and he wasn't ugly.
The when I was talking with people about this on the Mixed Mental Arts group, and I said that if some of these incels had sex with prostitutes, they would probably like women more. I think it was Michael Murphy. He said that apparently apparently that wouldn't work for incels because they're just misogynistic to the point where they don't even want to have sex with women. Apparently,
I don't know. Elliot Rodger, for one, is racist as well as misogynistic.
yeah.
I read his whole manifesto. I recommend it.
Oh, cool. That sounds
Um,
interesting.
he's definitely racist. Definitely a misogynist. He is what you call. He has an ultimate level of. How do I put it? The word escapes me.
Malice?
No. When you think you deserve something.
Oh,
What's that word?
the like what happened to him is justified or something. I don't know.
No, like when you think you deserve something, that what is that damn word?
A verb?
No, I think it's an adjective. No, is it? No.
Deserving?
It's a
Guilty?
word like deserving, but has a more of a negative connotation.
Okay. Uh, I don't know.
It's like what you think of millennials. They are
Entitled?
blank. There you go. I don't know why that word escaped me. There you go. So he had the ultimate entitlement complex when it came to women. He believed that since he wasn't ugly, he was entitled to specific women. If he saw a woman with like a guy that if he saw a beautiful woman that was with somebody, he'd get extremely angry and jealous.
Wow.
In the manifesto, he's assaulted some people.
Wow.
Like you'd see a couple kissing or something, and then he'd pour a drink on him, and
Jesus.
that happened. Yeah, that happened multiple times in his manifesto.
That sounds
Um,
like a guy who needs to get laid for sure.
no, it's not like because of this. I think women are smart enough to be able to detect this attitude and sniff this this cancerous core at its core and just avoid the guy.
You're
I
probably
applaud
right.
women for having this sense of being able to sense that in him. But
Yeah.
yeah, the guy was fucking nutty. Like he would get mad if like a nice looking white girl was dating someone black or Hispanic.
Wow.
He did think that they were beneath him, like racially inferior. The guy was definitely like
Fucked up.
an entitled, fucked up prick.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I would implore you to check out his manifesto. Like, it's sadly hilarious. Um, like, whenever he has a tantrum, it's just so funny. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, where's this guy's parents? And his parents were rich. Well, not rich, rich, but his dad was like a movie executive, and he got to travel abroad every summer. But I don't know, man. The guy was nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know how that type of person gets created, but um,
I don't know anything about his upbringing or anything like that and how much it might have influenced him.
yeah, the manifesto. It's like 140 pages, but it's super interesting. Like he has a remarkable memory. That's what kind of I was blown away at, is how much of his childhood he remembers specifically. I was
Okay.
like, wow, this guy has an autistic level of mental capacity there. Like he can really remember shit with a lot of detail. That seems somewhat insignificant, but I guess we're significant to him.
Oh, that reminds me of the autistic thing. Um, I think I was telling you before about these married polyamorous evolutionary psychology professors, Diana
Mhm.
Fleischman and Jeffrey Miller. I remember seeing her, I think in one of their podcasts or interviews with both of them, she was saying something like, particularly in in places, I think she was saying like parts of China, for example, too, where there's so many more men than women. It would be
Mhm.
it might be a good idea for more women to be polyamorous so more men can get laid because men, not young men in particular, not getting laid can lead to problems. Or no, wait, she was saying that specifically in relation to like people who are maybe like on the autism or Asperger's spectrum or something like that. She was saying that
Mhm.
she seems to attract people like that because she is very emotionally open and she can get people like that who are not very emotionally open to communicate with her. So that was like just a long-winded way of saying that. I wonder if like if we're talking about advocating for weird things like prostitution to solve the problems of incels, I wonder if something also like like polyamory or something like that might be an option as well. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. Technically, that option is not unavailable.
That's
But then
true.
again, people who are autistic tend to not to be very keen to following the law, I guess.
You think so?
Don't autistic people like follow rules more than like the average person?
I don't know. I don't know anything about that.
I could be wrong. I thought autistic people liked rules
I don't know.
and very rigid structures. Like they don't like to break out of routines. That's what I.
Oh yeah, I definitely heard that before. Yeah.
And they do like rigid structures to live their lives by. So I think just the prospect of them getting into a relationship with a woman is difficult because it breaks that routine life that they live.
You think like a polyamorous relationship would be like more disruptive in that way than like having sex with a prostitute or something like that?
I don't know. That's a good question, but I don't know how autistic. Like I know Elliot Rodger wouldn't have been able to handle that,
Yeah, that sure sounds fucking true.
but I don't know how widespread that if that is a widespread mindset in the incel community. I don't know.
Well, like I was saying, from what Michael Murphy told me, apparently that is a fairly widespread mindset. But like I said, like I don't really know. I've never talked to an incel, and I don't know whether
Here, I
Michael
have
Murphy
a
has.
theory. I have
Yeah.
a theory. I believe that incels believe that they're oppressed by good-looking people or people that are able to get laid easily
I think you're probably right about that.
without the aid of prostitutes. So incels definitely look at themselves as victims, and they hold those people as their oppressors. So I
Probably,
think,
probably particularly hot women.
yeah, so it's this weird relationship where they have this strong desire for hot women, but hot women are also their oppressors. So it's really strange.
Yeah.
It's a strange
No wonder they have
relationship.
trouble getting laid.
Yeah, it's like they're if they're trying to get something from someone they oppress or someone they hate. It's almost
Yeah.
like it's the m- misogyny at its core.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like I never really understood their mindset.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so uh like simultaneously confusing and fascinating to me.
Yeah, because I've gone through phases because I'm older, approaching my 40s, and I've gone through phases where I was highly interested in dating and phases where I didn't give a shit about it at
Me
all.
too. Me too.
And
I was in that phase for a long time until recently.
yeah, and it's almost as like those phases, like, okay, so I remember, I think like 24 to 27, I was like partying quite a bit and hanging out with a lot of different girls and all that jazz. But before that, I was like super like into my projects I was working on, whether it was music or games, whatever creative endeavors I was doing. Like I didn't really care much about dating at that time. It was just, um, and it had nothing to do with me not wanting to date. It's just that that wasn't a priority at the time. It almost feels like for incels, it's wanting to date is always a priority.
But it's never
And
something you pursue.
yeah, so I do think that with some success, or at least perceived success, you get some success in dating. I know during my years when I was dating, I was like dressing a lot nicer, paying attention to myself more. I think I lost like 50 pounds. I was like way more fit and active.
Yes, the women appreciate you being in good
Um,
shape.
yeah, I was like driving a motorcycle. Like it was a crappy motorcycle, but girls don't really know the difference between a super fast motorcycle or a motorcycle that's like faster than a car, but not fast for a motorcycle.
I don't either.
Yeah, they just see a motorcycle like, oh, this guy is like dangerous or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're like, I was doing these things not to get women, but just because I wanted to be take advantage of like my health changes and all the benefits that came with that.
And doing those things for yourself helps you maintain those habits more than it would be if you were just doing it for the sake of women and their external approval or something like that, I think.
Yeah, yeah, certainly. So I think that the incels don't work on themselves
Probably.
and
Yeah.
they expect to have it all. But man, those people with those great bodies, they're not born with them.
Yeah.
They gotta work hard for those things.
Yeah. If you if you want to be in good shape, you have to like follow a healthy diet and work out regularly and stuff. It takes discipline.
Yeah, you gotta work hard. It's hard, but yeah, you gotta work hard doing it. It's like that's the problem with that. When I was reading the manifesto, it didn't seem that like aside from trying to go to college, it didn't seem like he was doing anything to try to improve his life.
Right.
Um, like he didn't go to gym, or if he did, he probably just looked like a weakling or whatever. Like I understand some people just aren't built like they're super what are they called, ectomorphic.
Yeah. When I
Like
was
I've known some people like that.
when I was at the gym yesterday, I I saw I saw some jacked dudes. I saw some dudes who were sort of like muscular but not jacked, and I saw some pretty skinny dudes too. Like
Yeah, but you gotta start
people
somewhere.
are people are in different stages of like how much they've developed in working out and stuff like that, obviously, right? Like
Yeah, you gotta
I
start
was
somewhere.
I was a little skinny ectomorph for the vast majority of my life too. And it's like I've been working out for like 12 years now. So I've shown some results in all of those years of hard work and especially improving my diet recently. And I don't know if like when I go to the gym too, there's like this even if you don't even really talk to anyone, there's this like unofficial camaraderie or something too. Like if some little skinny guy is lifting small weights or something like that, it's not like anyone
Like
makes
you've
fun of
been
it.
well, the funny thing is like most people at the gym have been there at some point in their life. If
Yeah,
they weren't some super skinny dude, they were some super fat dude.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And like
Or
people,
they never, or they may have never did that. They may have just always, from a very young age, been conscious of fitness. But a lot of people start at those starting points.
yeah, like I was thinking yesterday when I was doing bench press at the gym, I was thinking because I was looking at a few of the really skinny kids there. I was thinking, man, I remember when I was in high school and I could only bench press 65 pounds. I still remember that.
I don't. I don't think I ever was that weak. Like
I
I was an endomorph, so I was always blessed with natural strength. But I didn't like. uh, yeah, I remember. Did you struggle on 65, or was it just
Oh yeah, man. That was
it
well,
was like really hard?
if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure it was like my fucking max when I first bench pressed or when I first started to do bench
Well, how
press.
old were you?
Like 17.
So you were in high school.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. A max of 65.
Yeah, man. Like we were saying, everyone has to start somewhere.
Yeah, because I think my max starting out might have been a plate.
You started off with 135?
Probably, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
I didn't get past. I did not get past 200 in high school though.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
did
yeah.
after high school, but not in high school.
Oh, okay. And you were saying you were in an endomorph too, which isn't the reason, of course, but probably contributed to it.
Well, yeah, if you're an endomorph, you're likely gonna be stronger than someone that's an ectomorph when you start out.
Yeah,
It's just easier to turn. It's easier to manufacture muscle as a ectomorph than as a. I'm sorry. It's
endomorph.
easier to manufacture muscle as an endomorph than it is as an ectomorph. 'Cause I
Yeah.
remember when I was doing my powerlifting stuff, I was working at a game company, and the guy I sat next to was like a classic ecto. Like
Mhm.
he could eat junk food all day and not put on any weight. And he
Right.
was like, "Man, like I'm so envious that you don't have to like eat like 3,000 calories a day just to like show any type of gains whatsoever." It's like for him, he has to eat to a level that he's uncomfortable with.
I had to do that when I was powerlifting.
Oh, I had to cut. I was cutting while I was powerlifting.
Oh, okay.
I
Were
was
you trying to make
powerlifting in a cut.
a weight class?
No, but I was just trying to lose weight and powerlift at the same time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can do that. You just have to not reach. You just have to basically like reach a either a I don't know what word I should use, either an equilibrium or a deficit of calories for the day. And especially if you're lifting heavy weights like you do with powerlifting, that makes you require more calories to recover for that. So it could be like, did that make it easier for you to lose weight when you were doing that?
It did. Like, I think the reason it made it easier to lose weight is because you're simultaneously bulking. Well, you're not like bulking. Of course, I'm cutting, but my muscles are still getting bigger, and that has a higher calorie requirement than somebody who's fat.
Yeah,
So when I was cutting, I wasn't cutting as much as somebody would as if they were just purely trying to lose weight through dietary reasons.
right.
I didn't have to cut as much as that. I could cut just a little bit um, less. So I was still able to have like the energy that I needed and still able to like gain muscle because I was making sure that I had like the proper protein for the day and carbs. I was just not overdoing it with any type of foods.
Man, my my experience was so different when I was powerlifting. So, but this strategy, just like fucking being obsessed with eating strategy that I had, it did, along with powerlifting, lead to me my body weight going from 170 to 230 over about a year and a half or so. So it it worked really fucking well, even though I think I am naturally an ectomorph. I just fucking ate like it was my goddamn job. Like I would drink 2 liters of milk a day, and I would
Jesus
make
Christ.
yeah, and I would make sure I would always have tons of carbs, and like that's the biggest I've ever been, and I might never be that big again, although maybe like years from now. If it
Yeah, I started at 270 and I cut down to 240.
oh, okay.
And I was just making sure to not overdo certain macros and making sure that I wanted to make damn sure that what I was doing in the gym was going to have some type of positive benefits for my muscles because I didn't want to not eat enough so that I wasn't generating any muscle, but I also wanted to make sure that I was burning the fat that I was getting.
Right.
It ended up working out great, and I did not do any type of crazy cardio or anything. I actually didn't do any cardio at all
Yeah, you don't need
during
it's a
that.
myth that you need to do cardio to lose weight.
No, I didn't do any cardio. I did walk, but I don't consider that cardio. I just consider that light moving around just to lose some calories. So I did incorporate some walking. Like on my off, because when I was doing my powerlifting, I was only working out every other day. On the off days, I would do just walking. That was it.
Okay.
Because I was trying to recover, so I didn't want to do anything insane. And that's what I did. But I did lose weight at the same time while getting stronger, and I actually got the strongest I've ever been while losing weight. And I was like really surprised that I could pick up heavy things.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me necessarily because where was like some of that noob gains like
Oh, mostly, yeah.
yeah, that can definitely happen with when you're first starting off, especially when you're first getting into powerlifting, man. Like I got
No, it was
tons.
all new games. Like I said before, like my max in high school benching was like 200. And I think by the time I was like towards the end of my powerlifting stuff, I think I was able to do like 245 twice.
Oh, okay.
which is a lot for me.
Yeah.
And I think I was squatting 450,
Oh wow.
and I deadlifted almost. I think it was like 490.
Your squat was
Uh,
like the same as what my best squat was in competition.
oh, what, 450?
Yeah, 451 because it was in kilogram plates.
Yeah. So I was like, after that, I did those PRs. I couldn't basically could not work out for like 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, I bet.
I was like, I remember like a couple days after that, I went to the gym and I was gonna do like my normal routine, which is like a bunch of warm ups until I get to the workout weight. And then once I got to the workout weight, I couldn't do it. I was like, Jesus, I'm spent.
Yeah,
I
I bet, man.
can't even do the workout weight. So I think I went to half of what I usually did for
Oh,
like a whole month.
oh
But
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
it took me a while to recover. It was like a ridiculously long time
Yeah,
when you're doing your personal records.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
really,
Yeah,
really draining.
I
And the
always
funny
did.
thing is too, is like the a day before I actually did personal records just to make sure that I could do them because we were going to do I went to a meet and I wanted to make sure that I could do them. I didn't want to embarrass myself in front of a bunch of people.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure I could actually do them.
That's a
And
that's a that's a bad strategy, generally speaking.
yeah, I ended up, I was able to do them at the meet. And then the only thing I failed on was the bench because um, kind of need a spotter for that.
They didn't give you a.
No, they
Oh,
gave me a spotter in the meet. I'm just saying a spotter if I'm attempting to PR my.
oh,
Yeah,
just
you
at
need a
the gym.
spotter. Like
There
you
was.
don't need a spotter for squatting or deadlifts because you can set the bars up so that you just drop. You can drop the weight either
Mhm.
way, but you can't do that. Well, I guess you can if you set the bench up at a power rack,
Yeah, I've done that before.
but I
Or
just
you could just do like what I did yesterday at the gym was I just got like some random guy to come and spot for me.
yeah, it was like super late though, and I wanted to make sure I could do the squats and the deadlifts. Um, and it was like 9 o'clock at night, and I didn't want to go through the whole warm up thing to get to my PR for benching.
Okay.
I said, "Oh, screw it, I'll just do it." And then at the meet, like the benching was the only thing that I did that I didn't complete.
Okay.
Like and for the squats, I nailed, and the deadlifts, I nailed all my weights, but I only nailed the first weight for benching, like the
Okay.
opener. I nailed the opener, and the other two I failed.
Okay.
I think I tried at the meet. I tried 265. I couldn't do that, and then I tried 250 or 260, and I couldn't do that.
Okay.
So that was fun. That was fun.
Yeah.
It was an informal meet. It wasn't like a super crazy competition or anything.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed the meets.
Oh,
Yeah,
reverb.
the meets I went to were like proper sanctioned competitions and stuff. I always enjoyed those too.
You went to like real ones?
Yeah, like ones
Yeah.
I think oh, I forget what one of the organizations one was, but one of them was called 100% Raw because you remember the what like what raw powerlifting is, right?
Yeah, you don't have you don't have all the straps and braces and stuff.
Yeah, you can't use straps or bench
Wraps,
shirts,
no
squat
wraps.
suits, or deadlift suits,
Yeah.
or knee
So,
wraps. Yeah,
mm,
and that so I competed in that federation, which is uh I think that's strictly a Canadian one. And then there was this other one, I forget what it was called, but it's the Canadian it's the Canadian version of the IPF, which is the International Powerlifting Federation, which is the worldwide basically raw powerlifting federation.
yeah, I was also concerned for the deadlifts because I always practice with straps. So I was like, shoot, how am I gonna hold on to this thing?
Do you do
Luckily I did.
alternate grip?
Yeah, I did alternate grip, that helps. But even then I felt like the bar was like gonna slip out
Yeah,
of
that
my
happens.
hand. It's almost like because when I have the straps on, my fingers are completely enclosed around the bar. It seemed like my hands are like hooks, barely holding on to the bar without the wrist straps on. I was afraid I was going to drop it.
Yeah. Another thing that you can do is hook grip, which I might have told you about before, but it's
You put
where
your thumb on the other side.
you put your thumb underneath the bar, you put your thumbs underneath the bar, and then you wrap your fingers around your thumbs. So it hurts your thumbs like a motherfucker, and I've even ripped the top of the skin off of my thumbs before and made them bleed from doing that. So it takes a lot of practice to get into being able to actually do that properly. So if you were actually it would work if you had been like practicing that grip, but if you don't practice that grip leading up to a meet and then you wanted to change your grip to that suddenly, I don't think it would work that well.
Yeah, and I think another thing too is I don't never practice sumo because it doesn't have any practical. Like I think it's cheating. Well, it's not cheating because you could use it, but it doesn't work out the muscles that you want to when you're using it out to practice with.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that my back was getting worked out and my core. Like when you're doing sumo, it's almost like you're doing a leg press with that.
Yeah, that's true.
So the guy, if I knew how to do sumo, I probably would have done like way better. But I was just doing like a very standard deadlift.
It depends on the person and your body type too. Like, are you really tall?
Yeah, I'm taller. I'm 6
Okay.
foot.
Okay. Maybe it would be better for you. I think we're maybe close to the same height. I think I'm a little shorter than you, but I mean, for taller people, sumo is sometimes good because it can
Well, because
just
you have more like if you're tall, you have more distance that you need to hold the
yeah,
bar up.
just like you're saying, just like um uh what's the word, or like anatomically speaking, like you were saying, but not for like if you actually want to work your body more the way an actual conventional deadlift does.
Yeah, like sumo, it's good leverage for that, but then you're neglecting some muscles that could really get a workout from doing a deadlift.
Yeah.
Like you're actually transferring more of the muscles being used to your legs rather than your core and back. And I always felt that the deadlift is it's a core and back exercise, not I do squats for legs. That's not why I do deadlifts.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I
We went
I
way off
personally
topic.
I personally never really did that. Yeah, I was thinking that we've been talking about lifting for a while. We got on
Well,
from talking about incels.
yeah, I don't know how we got from freedom of speech to incels to powerlifting. A weird road there.
Yeah.
That's the only problem about doing the topical things. It's like it's really easy to get off the topic.
Hmm.
But I think we're good with the freedom of speech. We can go ahead and start to talk about the stuff that we've been reading this week. What have you?
Well, I read. I think I said last week I had either already started or was about to read that book called Babylon AD.
Mhm.
Or no. The book is called Babylon Babies, and that movie with Vin Diesel was made based on it. And I think the book is way fucking better than the movie. The movie, I remember it being really mediocre, but
Mhm.
and the book it's 500 pages, and especially like 300 pages into it, it gets really fucking good and fascinating. It's like there's one of the one of the main characters who they mention in the beginning. She's like carrying the child of some weird religious cult, and if it gets born, it'll destroy the world. And she also has like these uh it's psychic abilities related to her being autistic, like as if autism is the next stage of evolution, which is a theory that some people have talked about, and it gives
Yeah,
herself the
a funny
ability.
thing is, I watched The Predator, and there's also that premise in it.
Oh yeah, the newest
The,
one.
the newest one, yeah.
Oh, I didn't remember that from it.
Remember, you watched it?
Yeah,
The kid.
I didn't remember that about the kid.
Dude, the whole movie is about why they pull spines, right? Is they're
Hmm.
trying to evolve themselves. And then they kidnap the kid because he's autistic because they see that as like the next level of human evolution.
Okay,
Remember the predator kidnaps the child?
maybe I'm thinking of a different. Maybe there's another Predator movie that I haven't seen. Maybe I'm confusing it with a different one.
Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about Alien versus Predator 2 or Alien versus Predator Requiem?
Oh, I thought I was thinking about the new Predator movie that was just called The Predator or
The
Predator
Predator,
like
yeah, it
2 years
was came
ago.
out in 2018.
I guess I was too baked when I watched that.
Maybe because okay, so I know in the movie, like the main guy gets put on a bus full of crazy like
Yeah,
war
I
vets.
remember. Yeah, it is the same movie then. Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, and then he sends like the predator loot to his house, and his son gets it, and he wears like the predator mask and gauntlet for Halloween.
Oh, yeah. No, oh yeah. Now you mention, I remember all that, but I didn't remember the connection to him being autistic. I remember him using the technology and stuff, but I didn't remember that part.
Yeah, that's why the predator captured the McKenna, the kid, because he was gonna harvest his spinal fluid. Because earlier in the movie, Olivia Munn says like, yeah, autism is probably the next step in human evolution,
Right.
which is why the predator kidnapped um, the dude's son because he was autistic. And you gotta get the remember because the kid has problems with loud noises. He starts to freak out. That's like an autism thing. So they kind of establish him as having autism without directly saying that he has autism.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's like implied, but not directly stated.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. That's why I'm confused then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go. Autism is the next level of human evolution.
Yeah. Um, oh,
And you said that was in the book? The book sounds pretty crazy.
yeah. Oh, there's more crazy stuff that happens too. So she has this character that like in the character who's played by Vin Diesel in the movie who he is protecting. She also has all these weird psychedelic dreams, and she even has the ability to give others psychedelic visions or hallucinations like telepathically. So she has like at one point the main character, she gives him hallucinations of seeing his dead friend, like his fellow soldier who died in battle with him and stuff like that. And it's this and then they're like gay robots helping them at some point too. There's
Gay
all
robots?
yeah, there's all
How can a
sorts.
robot be gay?
That's a thing in the movie. There's like they talk about how robots can have genders in this, and they can
Okay.
be like heterosexual or homosexual.
This sounds
But
weird. Gay
go in-
robots.
they don't go into it that much at all. It's like almost an in passing thing. But there's all sorts of bizarre shit and fascinating shit that happens in this book.
I might have to check that out. Sounds. I like weird stories, like Treason by Orson Scott Card. So if it's as weird as that, I'd probably be intrigued by it.
Yeah. And oh, I also I I listened to the audiobook of that one I was telling you about, Rocket Ship Galileo, which
Mhm.
was one written by Robert Heinlein. It's one of his earliest books too. It was written in 1947. So it's this it's one in this kind of sort of series that I was telling you about called Heinlein's Juveniles,
Mhm.
which are I think it's 12 young adult science fiction books that he wrote that are all they're different characters and different stories, but they're loosely connected and basically take place in the same universe. And then there's a similar series after that called his Future History series, which is a different universe but has loose connections to that universe in Heinlein's Juveniles. And so I decided to start from the beginning of Heinlein's Juveniles and read all of those in chronological order, and then eventually read all of his Future History series in order, because I've read like a handful of or so of Robert Heinlein's books so far, and I like all of them, so I want to do that. But anyway, the um, Rocket Ship Galileo is basically about a group of kids who build a rocket with the help of a physicist who wants to help them to take them to the moon. And remember, this is written in 1947, and
Mhm.
it's like on the moon they find both aliens and that Nazis have already landed on the moon before anyone else.
Aliens and Nazi.
Yeah.
Of course.
Um, and I also listened to the audiobooks of like I was saying, I've been going through the novelizations of the Alien movies, so I listened
Yeah, I saw
to
that you did you do Alien 3, I think, or
yeah, I listened to Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection, which I like. I love
so
to
which one do you like so far? Because I know you're going through them. Which one are you like? Which one do you like the best so far?
I don't know, see, because like just like the movies, they're different in a lot of ways. Like I love the first one um because it's such a unique and original but also sort of simple story. And then
Mm.
I like the second one because it's more of an action movie because it's directed by James Cameron, and it's just like a fight between the humans and the aliens. And then the
Mm.
third one is interesting because it's more like the first one, except instead of being isolated on the spaceship, she's isolated on a planet with a bunch
Space
of
prison.
prisoners. And I also like that. I like that one because she dies at the end, and I like it when the hero dies at the end. But I
Mm.
like Alien Resurrection too because there's all this weird stuff happening. And one of the things that happens in the books that doesn't happen in the movie is that you experience the thoughts of the aliens sometimes. And that's because in Alien Resurrection, Ripley is an alien human hybrid clone, and she's like
Mm.
the mother of all these weird alien human hybrid experiments that they get into detail of in the book. And then this ultimate alien that comes from that comes from the queen is like this ultimate super powerful hybrid. And then there are other aliens chasing them, but Ripley can like literally rip the aliens apart she's because she's like a robot basically and has super strength and stuff like that. So I don't know, like they're all very different, and I like some of them for different reasons.
Are you gonna continue on with those novelizations?
Yeah, I'll probably read I think they're the prequels to like Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and I like those too. So yeah, I probably will. And oh yeah, I read that book, How Hitler Could Have Won World War II.
Mhm.
That was really interesting. It was about how Hitler at and basically the position of this historian is that Hitler was really good at political maneuvering, and
Mhm.
he was good at military strategies and tactics, but he got so paranoid and delusional, particularly towards the end of World War II, that he made
Mhm.
all these terrible decisions. And this historian lines out in the book all these situations in which Hitler could have easily been successful in in this particular battle or campaign, but he made all these like this myriad of mistakes and didn't listen to his general's advice of things that would have worked better and stuff like that. Nice toilet flushing, and and uh, and and so he just failed drastically, way more than he needed to. Like the
Did they
outcome.
talk about like his bombing of London and he could have done that differently or something?
Yeah, that was one of the examples they used. Yeah,
Because I know they could have actually won. Because I remember they touched upon that in what was it in
the
that book I
fall of
read,
the
The
Third
Fall
Reich
of
or
Third
whatever.
Reich.
What's it called?
Yeah, the Rise and Fall of the Third Reich.
Right.
They talked about how they made such a monumental mistake because I think the British were using radar and they could find out and where the airplanes were coming in, and the Germans knew about the radar, but they just kind of ignored it.
Yeah,
So it allowed like the British to prepare for these air raids in a much better fashion. Because if they took out all the radar stations, and they knew where the radar stations were, they would have had more success with their endeavors
yeah.
bombing the
And
London. So
there were tons of situations where like Hitler didn't consider like Stalingrad is a famous example, of course. Like
oh yeah,
he didn't consider the weather, he didn't consider the terrain, he didn't consider the number.
Stalingrad destroyed them. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
lost them the
And
war.
that's in the book. In the book, the writer talks about how Hitler he could have even won Stalingrad if he had arranged his troops differently, attacked at a different time, taken more factors into account. And there are all sorts of examples in the book about how he basically could have done those same things if he had like he attacked places needlessly when he didn't when the priorities should have been these other places that he should have attacked, or he should have considered the way that this particular army organizes their troops and all their different divisions and tank divisions and stuff, and he should have taken that into account and organized his troop differently. He should have attacked at different times in different ways, and he should have listened to his generals more, but they were afraid to challenge him and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it became very. In the end, nobody would challenge him because he was killing off his own people
Yeah.
that defied him. Because there was definitely a group of generals and things that were basically planning to kill him. Like they
Yeah.
made a couple different attempts on his life.
Yeah.
So he actually had a reason to be paranoid,
Yeah.
to be honest, because there were a couple planned assassinations that didn't go right.
Yeah. And they even said, yeah, the author even said in the book that at the end, when the Allies were were on their way for their final assault in Berlin, um,
Mm.
Hitler stayed there because he thought that the Allies would never defeat the defenses in Berlin, and like most of his top generals escaped and just abandoned him, and he thought he ordered a fictional counterattack that only existed in his mind because he was so delusional at that point and so paranoid that he literally thought he had ordered generals to issue a counterattack or something like that, but he didn't even do it. and they had already escaped anyway.
What a crazy person.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was definitely a piece of work. That Hitler.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then you started Mistborn, right?
yeah, that's the other one. Yeah. We were talking about that before we started broadcasting. Yeah, I like it a lot. I was saying I like the first Mistborn book. I think it's technically called the Final Empire, although I think you said that subtitle got added later.
Yeah, the first book used to be just called Mistborn, and then they added the subtitle.
Yeah. Yeah, I like all the Brandon Sanderson is great at writing battle sequences like we were talking about. I like all of that and how Kelsier, one of the main characters, is a badass killer and how he and Vin are Mistborn, so they have magic powers and there's that awesome, really detailed magic system used in the series called Allomancy that's based on metal, right?
Yeah, so the Allomancy, they got this metal-based magic system that's based off of ingesting metals, and each power requires a certain metal that they have to eat. It's an interesting system.
Yeah.
It's great when there's some type of scarcity involved in their magic system. And that's what it seems like Brandon Sanderson's been doing for some of these other series. Like um, the Stormlight Archive also has this system that there's this resource that powers their magic, and it's a scarce resource that
Okay.
has an economy that completely surrounds that. Like the entire economy is based off of this scarce resource. And I
Right.
know some of the Mistborn economy, when they do get into it, it's based off of specific metals. Um, like some of them are more common, but some of the metals are not very common and are harder to get a hold of.
Okay.
But yeah, you're gonna love it. You're gonna be hooked,
I
and then
bet.
you're gonna read all of those, and then you get to the Stormlight Archive.
Yeah.
It seems like every Sanderson book I read is slowly becoming the best living fantasy author for me.
Yeah.
Um, just in the sense that I don't know, I'm very intrigued. I know it's not as interesting politically as some of the other fantasy series, like what do you call? I guess Game of Thrones, where there's all a bunch of underhanded politics.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit different. But man, does he do combat well? It's bar none. There's just no fantasy writer like him in the arena of writing out a great action scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
Yeah,
great.
I agree. I like him. Well, we'll see, because I think so far for me, I like A Song of Ice and Fire or Game of Thrones the most, but I barely read anything of Brandon Sanderson so far. And like I was saying earlier, so far I like Mistborn more than Eye of the World, at least the first Wheel of Time book. So we'll see if I agree with you, or if I still like George R. Song of Ice and Fire more when I've read much more of Brandon Sanderson, or many more of Brandon Sanderson's books, I should say.
Yeah. So yeah, it's awesome, man. I'm glad you're finally getting over to the Mistborn series. It's funny too, because like one of my friends was like, "You gotta read Mistborn. You gotta read Mistborn. You gotta read Mistborn." Like, oh, okay, I'm not even done with Wheel of Time. Like, wait, it took me a while to get through Wheel of Time, but finally got to Mistborn. I was like, man, I should have picked this up earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually, I didn't read many books this week. I think I just finished the second Stormlight Archive book.
Well,
It's
that's a
a
long
massive
fucker.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a massive book. So it's understandable that I didn't really get to read many. I think another book that I started was I started the third book. So it's just these two massive books back to back. But also, I've been reading Wizard's First Rule
Oh, right. Yeah, you were telling me that.
by Terry Goodkind, just to kind of investigate it. It's okay. It's not bad. Um, I can definitely see the influences in the book, like from different fantasy authors as well as Ayn Rand. I found basically like the first Ayn Rand preachiness in it. I was like, oh, I know where this philosophy comes from. This is definitely Randian. But yeah, you'll within the first 200 pages, you'll find a Randian reference there. And
Yeah, I was saying I'm glad I didn't know. I'm glad I didn't know all that about his Randian influence before I read the book, because I'm glad I didn't look for any of that.
yeah, I wish I could have got a fresh look, but my luck was tainted by Daniel Green. And hey, if Daniel Green never made that video, I'd probably never read the book anyway. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
there you go. Like that's one of the main reasons I'm reading it is because it was given such a scathing review. I wanted to see if this was true. It's okay book so far. It's not the most beautifully written. Like it's no like the prose isn't great. I could tell you that. Um, like it's not at all poetic. You could tell. It's funny too because you could tell that Terry Goodkind is heavily in like based on logic. You could tell just by the way he writes the books that there's a lot
Yeah.
of logical basis for it. Uh-oh, did I get disconnected?
Yeah, I'm
Let
back
me make
now,
sure.
though.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
And then you could tell that he doesn't write relationships good because of that. Like he's not in touch with his feelings.
Yeah.
And the relationship and romance stuff seems super weird and awkward.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
it's especially like in the first 100 pages, there's this weird interaction where his brother like sexually assaults his companion. Like, because he meets this girl in the woods and she's kind of mysterious, but she has some type of hidden power. And, there was assassins chasing her called a quad. And I'm like laughing the whole time because a quad in Mass Effect is like a Krogan's ball sack. So every time they mention the word quad, I'm just thinking about an alien nut sack. It's not a good association. Um, so he's trying to help her, and he takes her to his brother, who's like the head politician in the town, or I think he's actually the head politician in the realm in the Westlands, called First Counselor or something like that. And he gives like some weird political speech, and then he goes and fondles the dude's friend. I was like, dude, this doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't even sound like there's justification for it.
Yeah, you were telling me
Um,
about that. I had forgotten about that.
and then like later on, they try to establish like romantic feelings between the two characters,
Right.
but
Yeah.
they don't really seem that justified because I don't know, they don't really flirt with each other. They don't. I don't know. It's just strange. It just doesn't feel right. You know what I
From what I
mean?
remember, they sort of like fall in love throughout the course of the first book really
Yeah.
slowly, and then it seems like the dynamic between them about that feels more natural in the second or third books, if I remember correctly. But it's been a while since I read those books.
Yeah, but, it's not bad. I think it's thing I like about it because the prose is so simplistic, I'm able to read it quickly. There's some
Right.
books that I have trouble reading fast because the prose is more intricate. That's not the case. With this, you can tell it's probably for the younger side of maybe fantasy readers because it's easy to read. I can read it fast because it's easy to read. Some like I cannot read Robert Jordan fast.
Yeah.
It's just the way he writes requires me to think a bit more
Okay.
about how he writes because it's just it's sometimes he doesn't write straightforward, if that makes sense.
You mean like
Like
how
there's a lot of
it's not it's
subtlety. There's a lot of
oh yeah, yeah.
subtlety
Okay. Yeah.
in
That's
Robert
true.
Jordan's writing. Like it's almost like every single line almost has some hidden meaning or connotation in it. Um, Terry Goodkind is very straightforward. You don't feel like there's any hidden meanings or connotations because in a chapter after you see some goofy behavior, a chapter later it might get completely um, broken down and explained to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think now that I've read Wheel of Time, if I go back and read those books now, like I said, I kind of got bored with them after I read the first three, and I don't know how many of them there are. But I think now that I've read Wheel of Time, if I went back and read those again, I might think that they're similar to Wheel of Time, but not as good.
Yeah, they're very simple. Like I said, it's very simple, and it's not complex as far as I can see right now. The plot seems pretty simple, and the characters aren't super deep. Especially Richard, he's just weird. Um, I don't know, he just seems like an odd person in the way that he thinks kind of oddly. Like he's super logical, but he doesn't know how to handle relationships. I don't think it's hard. Like his handling of relationships are odd. He speaks kind of like in a very straight laced way. That's not that interesting.
Yeah,
Like typically, like he feels like he doesn't have that much personality, is what I mean.
yeah,
Um,
like the
but even the
typical
other
everyman.
characters seem like they have personality. Um, like the wizard guy he met, he seems to have some quirky personality to him.
Hmm.
Um, the girl, she has like some personality. Like you can see that she has like this hidden, like gritty side to her. But he seems like a super naive and weird. I don't know. I just can't explain it. Like I could understand Rand because his background kind of explains his mindset. Like he's a farmer. He kind of has like redneck attitude towards certain things in the beginning of the book. But Richard, the main character, I really don't even know what the hell his background is. It's hard really to place him. So he just seems not to have that much personality right now.
Okay.
Maybe that might be unveiled later in the book, but um, I wouldn't give it a 1 star so far. I know that's what Daniel Green gave it.
Yeah,
I
something
would
has to
give
be
it,
pretty fucking terrible for me to give it a 1 star.
yeah, I don't think I've actually read a 1 star book yet.
I'm not sure
But
if I have either.
like to me, a 1 star book would be after I read it, be like that was a complete waste of time.
Yeah,
That to me would be a 1 star book. I haven't had that yet. I've gotten
yeah,
close, but I haven't had a 1 star yet.
yeah.
2 star
Well,
is the lowest I've gave a book
there have been
so
books that
far.
I've bailed on because they're boring or something like that. I'm not sure if I even rate those usually though.
Yeah, I wouldn't rate a book I bailed on because you haven't completed it.
Yeah.
like I've bailed on books too, but I've also gone back to books I've bailed and then gave it lower ratings. Like I think I gave Brave New World a lower rating than most people would give it.
Okay.
I don't remember if I gave it a 2 star or 3 star. I think I gave it a 3.
Okay.
But it was just I don't know. It was one of those books that I get it, but I know it was. You could tell it was trying to be humorous, but it wasn't funny to me.
Okay.
It's like these jokes were written so long ago that they're like not funny anymore.
Right. Yeah, I
Like
don't remember the joke. I don't remember finding the jokes that funny, like sort of typical lame fantasy jokes in a way.
well, in Brave New World.
Oh, sorry. I forgot. I was confused. I thought you were still talking about
Oh, we're talking
Wizard's First
about
Rule. I
Wizard's
don't
First
remember.
Rule. I haven't even encountered a joke yet.
I thought I'd seen those a few times. Maybe I'm
I
confusing
think
it
the
with something else.
wizard guy is supposed to be funny, but and he does some
Yeah.
weird shit, like prance around naked. But I don't think he's actually like done any jokes yet.
Yeah. It is a pretty
But
serious book. Yeah.
yeah,
The
it's
I don't
I kind of like having at least some type of comic relief. Like there's
yeah.
been none so far.
Yeah, I don't remember I don't even remember any jokes from Brave New World. I don't remember the book
Well,
that
there's a
well.
lot of satirical stuff in it.
Yeah.
Um, that's why I consider it. Oh, you're supposed to laugh at this because they're satiring something.
Right.
But I didn't. It wasn't that funny to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't grab me. Like I like 1984. That was great. It's just Orwell, just a better writer
He's a
in my
fucking great
opinion.
writer.
Yeah, and like I read Animal House. It's much more simpler than
You
1984,
mean you
but
mean
well
Animal
written.
Farm?
Yeah, Animal Farm. I'm sorry, Animal House. That's the movie.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we'll see how this good kind stuff comes. I have seen the Randy and stuff, so I'm like, oh, I see, it's coming. He believes he's the best writer ever lived as Ayn Rand. Oh, that's fucking weird. But there you go.
Yeah.
He's an android man. He believes he's not a fantasy writer, and he believes that the best writer has ever lived. Actually? Let me rephrase that. He thinks the best writer living is Ayn Rand.
She's dead, isn't she?
Yes, yes, she is dead. But that was his answer to the question: who is the best living writer?
Right.
So we'll see, man. We'll see what's up with this good kind of stuff. And I know that isn't some of his stuff. Didn't they turn it into a TV show or something like that?
Did they? I don't not that I know of. Possible.
I've been looking at forums saying that they made a show out of one of his books, but
Have you found it anywhere?
I haven't looked
Okay.
yet. And if we're talking about other media that I have consumed, I watched Endgame
Right, you said
on
that. Yeah.
Thursday. And I thought it was going to be bad because I've heard a lot of people say it's not as good as Infinity War. But I found it pretty satisfying. I thought
Okay.
it ended well.
How did you
Um,
think it compared to Infinity War?
um, well, Infinity War has shock value, but um, I think that Endgame has more like an emotional impact.
Oh, okay.
I think the ending.
I haven't seen Endgame yet, as you know, but um Infinity War was my personal favorite my personal favorite Avengers movie, mostly because the bad guy wins at the end.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of shock value in that. And
Yeah.
I was like, I remember watching that end, and I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen now?
Mm-hmm.
But
I didn't think there was well, no, I did think there was going to be another Avengers movie, but I thought they could just end the Avengers series here. That would be even ballsier of them.
you knew that was gonna happen though.
Yeah.
They got money. They got money to make.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like um, Endgame stand
Okay.
definitely. Yeah. By the way it ends, you know that there's no more Avengers movies coming. By
Except
the
for
way it
when they
ends
remake the series in 20 years.
with new actors.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. I don't know how they're gonna remake that 22 movies again, but that's cool.
Yeah.
Because it seems like that's the problem that they have with X-Men and with Batman and Superman, but it hasn't been the case so far with like the basic Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Unless you call that horrible Captain America movie from the 80s, then
I didn't even know that existed.
it exists.
Okay.
It exists. But there you go. Um, Great stuff. Highly recommend Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. It's the second book in the Stormlight Archive. Um, and check it out. Great fantasy. And Brandon Sanderson's a pretty good writer. And I purchased a couple books, but haven't looked at them yet. For Father's Day, I got a $50 Amazon gift certificate and a $25 Barnes and Noble certificate. So I went and bought the hardcover box set of The Lord of the Rings, just so I could have a hardcover box set of The Lord of the Rings. And I purchased the graphic novel hardcover from Brandon Sanderson, which is White Sands.
Right.
There is a cool like short story in his Arcanum Unbounded collection of short stories that takes place in the Cosmere, and there's an excerpt from his White Sand series. I thought it was pretty awesome, so that's why I wanted to check out the graphic novel.
Oh, okay.
So I went ahead and bought the first volume. I think there's 3 volumes available. I haven't checked that out yet, so I just bought those two. I don't even know when I'm going to read those Lord of the Rings books, but I just wanted to have the quintessential fantasy series in my collection somewhere.
Right. Makes sense. Yeah, I have actually I have a bunch of different copies of the Lord of the Rings books because I think I might have told you before when I got basically my grandpa's whole library of books years after he died when I was a kid. He was a big fan of the classics and the Lord of the Rings books were included in that, so he had two or three sets of the whole trilogy or something like that. And then there was one that I think I just wanted to buy, those ones that have the black covers and then just a ring on each of the covers. And
Yeah, that's
then
what I got.
I like those ones are my favorites. And then also, well, other than maybe the illustrated edition of the whole trilogy that I think I told you before that I have that I got for free for taking care of taking care of someone's dogs while they were out of town. It was just in those. It was my mom's former priest. I would stay at her house and take care of her dogs while she was out of town, and she said that I could go into her garage and just take any books that I wanted to because she had a whole bunch of books there that they were going to sell at their church garage sale. So I got a whole bunch of free books out of that, and that was one of
Sweet.
them, which is like $120 when you buy it in a store brand new.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have some paperbacks of Lord of the Rings, but I have no idea what I did with those. So I went ahead and, cause when I moved, I didn't take a lot of my books with me. I didn't take most of them. And I think they have not now gone missing, so I don't know where any of them are.
Okay.
So yeah, just kind of redoing my collection, getting my fantasy books and my classics together. But yeah, that box set I was glad to get. I just needed some Lord of the Rings somewhere. But I did plan on rereading that series sometime in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
But
I usually reread it every once in a while too. I think I was telling you when we were talking about this before, that next time I do, I want to read all of them in order because I've never done that before, and I want to read the Silmarillion first, and then the Hobbit, and then the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I don't think I've
okay.
ever actually done that before.
Yeah, me neither. I actually haven't done that yet either. Because I do want to actually, oh man, so much stuff I want to reread. So I'm going through all of Sanderson's stuff, all of it. I've gone through mostly through audiobook. I think audiobook is a very good medium for Sanderson stuff, especially because he picks very good narrators.
Hmm.
But I do eventually want to actually read it, just to see what it looks like on paper.
Okay.
The only thing I've actually read though is Secret History. I read the ebook of that because it's fairly short. But and then I want to do reread of Game of Thrones too. So much stuff to reread.
Yeah, man.
And then all the new fantasy stuff I haven't read yet. So much of that stuff.
There's
I don't
so
want.
many like what about that Lightbringer series, I think it is. That
Yeah,
Daniel
that one, the
Greenhouse one.
first blade. I know he
Yeah,
talks
First
about the
Blade.
Lightbringer. There's the Dresden Files and the Bastards,
Oh yeah, Gentlemen Bastards.
Gentleman Bastards. There's like a bunch of stuff I need to check out.
Yeah, me too.
But there it is. I think we have covered all our bases here. We have.
Yep.
And I think we'll go ahead and start the wrap up process. You got your plugs.
Yep. If people want to, they can check out my YouTube channel at Mindgasms, and I do lots of podcasts with people. I did one with the author Donna Barrow Green last week, and then I'm probably gonna do another one with Alex Bello next week, and maybe Adam Hansen. And I do lots like people like Daniele Bolelli, people like that too. And had Dusty on there before, of course, and like to make videos about ideas. Like I made one about how Trump is a postmodern president, and I sometimes read chapters of my novel on there too. And then if people want to, they can also check out my blog at mindgasms.theblogpress.com, where I write blogs about ideas and release chapters of my novel on there too, as well as publishing poems and short stories there sometimes also. And I'm also on the social medias, Facebook Ibuha and the Twitter at Andrew Meitzer. My weird German spelling of my last name is Meintzer. And that's everything.
Great. Also, come check out Mixed Mental Arts. You can find us on Patreon, and I'll thank all of our Patreon members for contributing. I actually will need to talk to Hunter because I'm thinking of pre-releasing some of um, the podcasts we've recorded so far. And maybe I was going to do that first on Patreon, and we got some good ones like Jonathan Haidt among some others that I think people would be happy to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and all the social media places that people like to visit.
Mm-hmm.
And please stay tuned. We will be uploading some podcasts soon. And as far as next week, hmm, next week we might even go on a Thursday because I have the house to myself for a few weeks. And I can actually drink a beer and do it from home on Thursday because I
Ah,
don't work on Thursday.
cool.
So maybe we'll have a Thursday chat. I just got to think about what we're going to talk about.
Sometime soon we could do one on Matrix Reloaded and or the next Wheel of Time one on Dragon Reborn.
Yeah, so I was going to schedule the culture code from a month from now.
Okay.
Yeah, so one, I got the culture code checked out, and I wanted to arrange and see if we can get Hunter on for that one or Kate, because I know they've read the book and they've referenced the book a lot when talking about cohesive groups. So I wanted to have them on. So from a month from now, I'm gonna schedule the culture code as a book chat. Matrix Reloaded. Maybe we could do that one then. Not this week, this coming up week, but next week. But this week coming up on a Thursday, I gotta think. I think we might just do something uh, lighthearted, nothing super heavy or political. Um, Maybe we'll just talk about movie genres again, or something like that. I want to just talk about maybe we could talk about superhero comic book movies. That we could talk about DC, Marvel, and anything in between.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Could do that. Yeah.
Superhero movies. So they don't even have to be DC or Marvel. Like I know there's some comedy superhero movies like Meteor Man and um, what's that other stupid movie with Damon Wayans?
Oh,
Blank Man.
what's it
Do you
called?
remember that? Blank Man.
I remember one with Damon Wayans. If that's Blank Man, that might be the one.
Yeah, it's Damon Wayans and David Allen Greer.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll just talk about superhero movies. It's like the superhero story in general. We could do that on Thursday.
Okay.
Do that from the comfort of my home with a beer.
Cool.
Sounds nice and relaxing.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Join us next Thursday, and we'll talk about superhero movies. And after that, next week, after that, we'll talk about Matrix, the next Matrix movie. The week after that, would you be ready for The Dragon Reborn, Andrew?
In 2 weeks,
No, 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yeah. Yeah, I should. I'll give
Yeah.
myself. I'll give myself 2 weeks to get through the book and all the Wheel of Time spoilers episodes.
All right, because I'm gonna do just the audiobook for that. It's prep. And a month from now, we're gonna do the Culture Code by Daniel Coyle. Now that I've outlined all of that, I will probably make all those events in the Facebook group so you guys can keep track of everything. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Have a great night and sayonara, adios, and other signing outs in other languages that I don't know.
Adios, bro.
Dasvidanya.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Buenas noches.
Good night.